Hello there. Okay, I want to talk about some stuff that I'm a little pissed about because it's shown up in my interactions with women, and I take 100% responsibility that I've drawn this in, but I need to reflect this out into reality because it's common in the field, and men are being forced to accept it and play this game that's no longer acceptable. So I'm just going to give a quick trigger warning. This is going to be really direct about things that I've seen between the masculine and feminine, and some of them are not acceptable. And that's not my judgment. It's energetically wrong, and it's an old game, and it needs to be brought into the light so that everybody can see it and move forward. So I've had two different interactions at what I'd call dating level between myself and women. One was an older lady. I'm 53 years old. She was 70, and we got to talking very deeply, and that person told me that they wanted a deeper relationship, and I said I wanted the same thing, and she was very triggered by that. She was triggered by the age difference, 17 years difference, and to me that doesn't matter, but okay, I accepted it and moved on. But what happened afterwards, and I see quite often as an old pattern between the masculine and feminine, where women feel they need to mother men. And we're growing out of this. And this may trigger some people, and that's fine. But if you want to try and tell me it's untrue, I've seen it with many men, and I've talked with many men, and this is a thing where women don't like the way men are, or they're wounded, or they've judged them in some way, and they feel like they have to mother them. And this is not something I was asking for, but it was given without consent. And this interaction with this woman, I was supporting her in a breakup of an old relationship, and she was the one that said she was looking for more. And then when I supported her, she all of a sudden got triggered, and all of a sudden it was all about me, and every vulnerable thing I told her was now my problem, and why nothing ever works out in my life. And it was her basically trying to fix me or smash me to stop what I was showing as I've got wounds. She's got wounds. Everybody's got wounds. I'm working through it, but I was trying to support her through some stuff, and she wasn't okay with what I said. And it was simple. It was just like, sometimes relationships come and go, and sometimes we need to move on, and all this kind of stuff. And she's got a choice in that. But suddenly it was like, you're such a wounded guy, and blah, 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 and she's trying to mother me and shouting at me, and all these narcissistic tendencies showed up. And it had nothing to do with me. It was like being mad that her lover had left her, and being mad that I was the only masculine around, and she wasn't okay with that, and some story was going on in her head. So the mothering thing is not well received by men. And especially if we've had our own mother wounds, and I'll admit I got my own mother wounds. And when she started mothering me, she started raising her voice and shouting at me. And I grew up as a narcissist, and I know what narcissism is, and I matched her. And she didn't like that. She started telling me that I was too loud, and I was embarrassing her, and all this kind of stuff. Well, you started it. And she'd match me for step. And then she started to get into, stop interrupting me. Well, hold on. When I interrupt someone, it's only when they're speaking about me. I listen to everything that they say, but if you want to get a whole bunch of words out that trash me and make me feel uncomfortable, I will defend myself to the death. That may sound ugly, but I've been tromped on by more women than I can even mention. And yes, it's my wound, and women get away with it, and they think they can get away with it. And it's a really ugly behavior. And I'm speaking about this to hopefully provide reflection for those that feel that this is needed. So the second experience is I met a woman at Ecstatic Dance, and she was let's call it dancing for me. She was kind of shaking her body and doing it right in front of me regularly throughout the period of dance. And at the end of the dance period, I talked about, as we were leaving, a bunch of us kind of gathered together. I talked about the awakening through sexuality stuff that I do. And she started to tell me about how she loved having sex in the mountains and the feel of the rocks on her ass and all this kind of stuff. I was just like, what the frick is this? So I sat with it for a week, and then I met her at dance again. And I was going to talk to her about it, but she left before the dance was done. So I basically texted her yesterday and just said, hey, I missed you at the end of dance, and I'd like to chat and get to know you better. And I didn't get that chance. And she says, oh, I love that. And then we met and we talked for 4 hours. It was amazing, really deep and all this kind of stuff. But during the 4 hours, it was very clear she was trying to keep me at arm's length. And I'll tell you right now, men have the same fucking intuition that women have around lying and telling stories and all this kind of stuff. And I've been tested on this lately, and I felt a pull that she denied repeatedly and said, no, I didn't feel that. No, I wasn't being sexual in front of you. No, I wasn't doing any of these kind of things. And it was a lie. And she's not going to like hearing that or whatever, but it was a lie. Because later on, after telling me for 4 hours that, no, I'm reading women wrong and there's something wrong with me and all this kind of stuff, she admitted she was curious. There's the energy. That was the pull. There was a pull. There was hooks coming out and saying, hey, I want to get to know you better. And I was doing it back. But she told me it was all wrong and she wasn't feeling any of that. She was just in the flow of the dance and all this kind of stuff. So I caught her in a lie. And this is very common with women that are attracted, and then they want to pull a man in and get them in the friend zone, because that's all she wanted. She wanted to get up close and share with all the depth of my vulnerability, and she was touched by my vulnerability, and I shared openly and deeply with her, but she just wanted to be friends. Arm's length, stay friends, etc. And after all this beautiful discussion and sharing and me being really vulnerable to the point of crying about some of my stuff and talking about my wounds and other things, I got home and I realized something. She was lying to me. This is a game. She was keeping me at arm's length while she could explore me, and it's a wound as far as I can tell. I can't speak for her experience, but to me it appears as a wound. But she wanted to keep me at arm's length because she was curious and she wanted to explore who I was, which is all fine. But at the same time, she lied directly to my face about some of the energies that were going on. It's okay, but I'm calling it out into the light, because you don't know how disgustingly painful it is as a man to be told by a woman over and over and over again the thing that they're feeling and the energy that they're feeling, and they're lying it. It's a hard to get energy. It's a like, I'm not going to admit it or whatever because that's going to keep me safe or whatever. No, when you're a conscious person and you feel that connection with another person, you talk about it. It doesn't mean you're automatically sexual or anything's implied in any way, shape, or form until it's discussed. So what really hurt was I've had this happen to me multiple times, and I own it, and this is my pattern, and blah, blah, blah. But it's happened to me multiple times, but it's insidious because it takes away my ability as a man to trust my feelings. And that's not okay. And that's where the really disgusting part came in all of this. And it was hard because as I was driving home afterwards, I realized that it was like, no, she's hiding from me and she's telling me all these things to get me to stop. Not that I was having pressure against her or anything of that. I was having a deep, honest discussion, but she wanted to have all the power and not own the fact that she felt something, and the curiosity has felt something. Whether or not that it goes to something else only comes through connection and depth and more discussion. So I'm just saying that this is not okay from a man's perspective, and it's very typical coming from women where they're trying to protect themselves from getting raped or something. I don't know what it is, and I was not coming on sexually or whatever. I was just saying I was interested and would be interested in following or in allowing more. And this thing came that said I was lying and wrong, and the energy wasn't right. And basically, after a long series of discussions and then texting and then calling her out at it, it became clear that she did have some curiosity, which is a feeling towards me. And that doesn't make a bond or make any relationship or whatever, but she said I was wrong, which is not okay. And I lied. And I did feel something. I knew something. And it's not okay to take that from a man, that he does feel something and there is an energetic connection and all that kind of stuff, and it wasn't okay. It feels like a massive violation. And this is common. Women play hard to get. They're taught to play hard to get. They keep men in the friend zone. I will tell you right now, to put a man in a friend zone is tantamount to death in some ways. And you're hurting men when you do that. And to protect yourself, if you can't own your shit and you can't talk about your shit or whatever, don't put them in the friend zone. Don't say, I just want to be friends. And then wait him to jump through hoops and please you and show you that he's worthy of you or whatever. That's fucking insane, and it hurts. And it's caused a massive wound in my heart, and I'm going to speak to it, and I'm going to speak openly about it, and that's why there was a trigger warning, because I'm not going to accept it anymore. And I stood up to her, and I called her out in her lie and her bullshit. And she thought she was counseling me and helping me and whatever as a man. No, she was fucking hiding. And that's okay. But don't ask to go on a coffee date and have deep discussions and be vulnerable and then tell me I'm wrong. Because I'm not okay with that. And this might sound like a wounded little boy. It's not. This is my fucking powerful warrior standing up and making a declaration to the universe. I'm not going to accept this wounded ass bullshit anymore. It's a game. And it doesn't work. It just creates power trips and power games, and everybody loses. So, I love you all, and this may be hard to receive, but this is the true emotions of a man. I almost want to cry right now because this is so vulnerable and so hard, and I've seen it happen more times than I can count. And you can claim that I'm the wounded masculine. I'm telling you, I'm the fucking powerful divine masculine. I'm standing up to this stuff. I'm seeing it, and I'm saying no more. And calling it out in the people that's showing up in both situations. And I have to. And somebody has to speak it out loud. And it's not going to make people comfortable, and it's not going to be happy or whatever. But how do you get fucking shit that's in the field that's not working for anybody and is causing a lot of harm out without vulnerably sharing it? So this isn't hurt masculine. This is a man standing up saying no more, because I can't play these games anymore. And my light and my truth and my shining into it and showing it is my power coming back. And we want the masculine to have the power back. And if you want to respond to it, respond in truth and not your wounded feminine and project or whatever, because I will defend myself vehemently. Because this is not acceptable anymore. And I'm not scared of women anymore. I'm not scared of their games and their bullshit or whatever. I'm going to call you into the light, and I'm going to ground you like a rock. And this is exactly what the divine feminine is. So, or is the divine masculine is for the divine feminine. And I'm here to do that. Not to call them out and say they're a bunch of names or whatever, because it's just the wounds. It's the wounds. Nobody's bad in any of this kind of stuff. But if I can't shine onto the wounds and then the protective behavior and the programs that are underneath, then this is going to continue, and it's not okay. It's not acceptable. I will shine light on it all day long. And women may hate me, but the ones that really, truly understand what's going on and make the change, they're going to have a better relationship. They're going to have a better connection to men, and they're going to be happy in the long run. For the first little while, it might be a little squishy. So, I love you all. I'm not trying to do this to hurt anyone. I'm just speaking of the receipt of very typical behavior right now as a man, and I'm not okay with it. It will not continue. I love you all. Thank you. And it will not continue in my reality. I could care less what's going on in your reality, but will not continue for me. So it is complete, this is an old pattern, and it's done, and I don't have to shine and talk about it anymore. Love you all. Have a good day. Bye.